From the Keith Vincent Kaola Studios in Paterson, New Jersey, Green Arrow Media proudly presents Is This Real? Tonight, the curse of 1940, also known as Dutton's Curse. Was it real? We're going to talk about it. And now here's your host, JC3.
Welcome, everybody, to another fantastic episode of Is This Real?
Is this real?
Tonight's episode is presented by Dubby!
Dubby.
Go to dubby.gg, get your energy drink, get your 10% off code, Is This Real PC, punch in, get your 10% off any Dubby products. And
Any Dubby products.
as tonight's episode, Dad turned around and said, we are talking about the Dutton Curse.
Yeah, it's Dutton's Curse. It's called.
Dutton's Curse, or the Curse of 1940 of the New York
And before we go any further, I
Rangers.
just want to say that this episode, I'm dedicating this episode to my late brother Keith, who was a diehard Ranger fan, and we have the scars to prove it. And
Moment of silence.
we teased the shit out of him.
We did.
Moment of silence.
Moment of silence for Uncle Keith and all of our people who died. All right. So,
Rest in peace, Keith.
rest in peace, Uncle Keith. This is why we have the Angry Uncle Studios.
The
Kevin-
angriest man in the land.
The Keith Kaola Studios is named after Uncle Keith, who was a big Ranger fan. But let me introduce who we have in the booth tonight. 'Cause it's a short list. You have me, JC3, Big Joe, say hello,
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our program.
and you have Mr. West in the building.
Fresh off the plate, konnichiwa, bitches.
And we are talking about like I said, the Curse of 1940, or the Dutton's Curse, if you will. I thought there wasn't a lot to this curse. You know, it's a sports curse. When especially in this season, we have a lot of curses that we go through. You know, we had what was the Curse of the Bambino a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Madden's curse.
Madden's Curse. These are Madden is more of a video game curse. You know, it has to do with football, yes, and it, you know, went into football, but it had to do with the video game itself.
Right.
This, I don't know anything about it. I'll be honest. The only thing I listened to is because, you know, back in, well, I wasn't born, but you told me back in '94 when they won the cup, the crowd was chanting 1940.
Well, no, what happened was that 1940 actually came about with the New York Islanders. See, the New York Islanders and New York Rangers, I'm gonna step back into a little time warp here. For years, the Rangers couldn't get out of their own way. They would make it so far, and then they would get out, you know, get blown out. In 1979, they got to the Stanley Cup
They
Finals.
get their backs blown out.
Right.
Yes.
They won the first game. Everybody thought, oh, you know what, 3 more ago, and they were playing against the Montreal Canadiens, and the Canadiens just came by and beat the living shit out of them the next 4 and beat them 4-1. So again, the curse came back. Now, when people started chanting 1940, that was the Islander fans were giving it back to the Ranger fans, and just they were chanting 1940. Then they would clap. So the Ranger fans, not to be, you know, would come out with their version of, they didn't like Dennis Potvin, the captain of the Islanders at the time, and there was some talk that he used to, you know, he had domestic violence charges against him for smacking his wife around. So they would come back with, beat your wife, Potvin, beat your wife. So you know, back in the day, it was a lot of fun. Ranger Islander games were great. The rivalry was great. I hated the Islanders. I'm not a Ranger fan by any stretch, but I always would side with the Rangers because my brother was a Ranger fan. And I really wanted him to experience what I have experienced as a Canadian fan. So that's where that came from. It didn't come back. How this curse started was, in their first year in existence, the Rangers, that was 1926-27.
It's old as dirt.
They won a division title.
Would have been sliced bread, I believe.
No, well, they won a division title.
I think so, yeah. No. Sliced bread, I think, was like in 25.
Okay.
And in their second year,
Around the
Betty
same
White
time.
was older than sliced bread.
in the
That
second
old
year, they won the Stanley Cup against the Montreal Maroons. They would win 2 more cups in 32, 33, and 39 and 40. During the 39-40 season, the mortgage on the Rangers' home arena, Madison Square Garden, was paid off. Hence, the management of the Madison Square Garden Corporation symbolically burned the mortgage in the bowl of the cup.
Oh.
This led some hockey fans to believe that the cup, which is regarded almost as a sacred object, and it is, has been desecrated, leading the hockey gods to place a curse on the Rangers.
Not the hockey gods.
Yes, the hockey gods.
The gods of hockey.
The gods of hockey.
Now, you gotta put yourself in the fans' perspective. You know, that is the holy grail
For a
of
hockey
sports
fan, yeah.
trophies. You can have your NFL trophies and whatever.
Wait, you're thinking that the Stanley Cup the Stanley Cup itself is more
Prolific.
more notorious than
Respected?
more respected than the
Than
Lombardi
any
Trophy?
other trophy on the planet. Yes.
You really think even the FIFA or the World Cup trophy?
Yes. And I'll tell you why. People have come from other countries just to experience the chance to win the Lord Stanley's Cup and hold it high and drink out of it. And
Lord Stanley's
they
Cup.
you gotta understand with all them other cups, I don't know if they
You
go
have
on
been
tour.
banished from the league.
This cup, now it has several incarnations, but the cup itself
12 years dungeon.
when the winning team everybody gets a chance to take that cup home.
Yeah, they still do that
and
now.
they'll have a parade through town,
Yeah.
or whatever.
And if you look at the cup itself, Eric, you could see there's writing on the side. Each winning team gets their name engraved on the cup. So technically, you are enshrined forever on that cup for winning it.
Damn, so like do they add these layers to it or something? Because like
That's my whole question, because like
how do they
if you start running out of room, Dad, like do you add just another like ring to the cup?
It's funny because there are some they're gonna have to eventually because but how long? Well, what happens is
Do they add a second cup?
no they'll add another ring, but they'll take the first ring off, and it'll be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. So that's what it really comes.
So how do they?
they're like donuts, so it's just like
Well, how do they decide which one? Like for the top 3 layers, it's hard to sit there.
Well,
and,
they go by the top. Like the top layer would be the most distant, so you want to take that one off, and then take the neck. Push the cup up.
but how do you sit there and do that? Because if you engrave these over here, which means they always have to engrave a new one.
welded.
Yeah.
Looks like it's like welded on.
It's never going to
Is
get
this
any
thing made
bigger.
out of gold?
It's never going to get any.
I don't know what it's made out of.
It's actually silver.
Like pure silver?
I don't know about the purity of it, but it is. It is my opinion, and I'm sure there are other people who will disagree with me, and that's fine. But it is the holy grail of sports trophies because it's so revered and it's so respected that.
Nice.
The hell was that?
Probably the chair that fell.
Wow. Well, anyway, there's other theories too about the curse. Why they call it the Dutton's curse is that the curse came from Red Dutton, the coach and general manager of the New York Americans, for whom he played for. The Amerks were actually the first NHL team to play in New York City, beginning play as soon as the Garden opened in 1925-26. However, the original owner, bootlegger Bill Dwyer, found the going difficult with the end of Prohibition, and the NHL took over ownership of the team in 1937. They made 5 playoff appearances, including a quarterfinal loss to the Rangers in 28-29 and a quarterfinal win over the Rangers in 37-38. However, after beating the Rangers, the Americans fell to the eventual Stanley Cup champion Chicago Blackhawks in late 1938 semifinals, the closest they've ever come to winning the Cup until most recently. So that's another. I don't know how that would play into it at all.
So I'll read on then.
Go ahead.
Following the 41-42 season, many NHL players entered the armed forces to fight World War II. This hurt the Americans more than the other teams, and so Dutton announced his team would suspend operations for the duration of the war. He was named NHL president upon the death of Frank Calder, which I believe the Calder Cup is named after.
Absolutely true.
In 1943, a post he held until 1946 when he resigned, replaced by Clarence Campbell. Dutton had resigned the league presidency with the intention of reviving the Americans. However, the league, with the encouragement of Garden management, reneged on a long-standing promise to allow the Americans to return. A bitter Dutton decided that the Rangers would never win the Cup for as long as he lived. He died in 87-88. At that time, the Rangers were their 47th season without having won the Cup. Which is kind of strange because 5 years later they do win the Cup.
Well,
I
it's
have
easy
I
to
have a question.
What's up?
That sounds very ignorant. So hockey started in Canada,
Hockey was
or the
started,
league, or the league of, or the
NHL.
national.
No, the NHL actually was started. You have 6 teams in the NHL. 6 original teams in the NHL. You would have the Montreal Canadiens,
Let's
the
see
New
if
York
you can get it.
Rangers. Well, you're going to go with the best. You start with the best.
No, I'm saying let's see if you can get all 6.
Oh, Montreal, Montreal Canadiens, New York Rangers, Detroit Red Wings, Chicago Blackhawks, Boston Bruins, Toronto Maple Leafs.
There you go.
Anybody else?
6. He got all
Don't
6.
fuck with me when it comes to the NHL.
Who was the 7th?
The 7th? I have no idea. they're almost like the last guy picked in the draft. The what do they call that?
The last pick.
Yeah, they call him the
the Mr. Anonymous or
yeah,
Mr.
something like that.
Just they're gonna call him the fucking Brock Purdy. That's what they're gonna call him now.
No, I only asked because like because I'm seeing that a lot of these names are coming from like Canadian journalists and like people from Canada.
Well,
like these, like,
Canada. The reason. Hold on.
Canada is, Canada is the birthplace of hockey, general, not the NHL so much.
Even though it's not their
hockey.
national sport,
It is not their national sport.
lacrosse is.
interesting.
That's what I said. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I'm like, it can't be.
Oh, they love their lacrosse. They love their soccer up there.
They love their sticks.
It is a weird college sport. That's what lacrosse is.
Wow.
Shout out to Canada.
Shout out to Canada. But yeah, so
Even though
it's
you guys can't own guns. It's okay.
even though 20,
How sad.
25 of the 32 teams are American teams.
25.
There's only 7 Canadian teams.
What's the last team? The last team that won the Stanley Cup. The last Canadian team that won the Stanley Cup was the Montreal Canadiens
In 94?
in
93.
93.
I don't think that's true, sir.
Well, look it up because I since this Gary Bettman type got in here, now he's done a lot of stuff for the league, but he's also did a lot of damage to the Canadian teams.
All Canadian teams. I
Yeah.
mean, they really wanted to push more of the Canadian, of the American. They wanted to get more Americanized.
The problem with the hockey, and I mean,
with the hockey.
the problem with hockey is you're either great or you're so-so. And when you start having teams, just to bring teams into another market, and instead of now you got 28 teams, now you got 32 teams. You're expanding the pool of good players, and that's taken away from some franchises who can't afford it. Like the Canadian teams are not working on their major budgets. The Montreal Canadiens never went 7 years without winning the Stanley Cup. They've gone now since 1993. So now that's 30 years without winning the Cup, and they're in no position this year to even get close to it. They were in the finals, I think it was last year, or the year before, whatever. But they got smoked, and they just went downhill since then. So that's got to tell you something. Gary Bettman took the league over.
Okay.
Yeah, Gary Bettman took the league over.
Yeah, the last time a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup
93?
was 93 with the Montreal Canadiens.
And it's sad because these markets, these people love it. They still come out.
Well, so since 93, let's look at all this. I know this is nothing to do with the New York Ranger curse, but it's a very interesting thing in my book. Let me put it like this. So since the Canadians won, you have the Rangers who won, so that's
that broke
big
the curse.
market. New York Rangers was a big market.
Right.
Yeah, New York. New Jersey, which is a big market, it is still the New York market. Colorado Avalanche, I guess you could put it in the Denver market because they play in Denver, I think.
Yeah.
So I guess that's somewhat of a big market. Detroit, big market. Dallas, big market. The Devils again, a big market. Colorado again. Detroit again. The Devils again. Tampa Bay would be the only team. The reason.
Let's just hold on a minute. I know, and again, this is a little off the beaten topic, but let's just say for all you Islander, for all you Ranger fans, or I'm sorry, for all you Devil fans out there, I want you to sit back and take a moment and understand about your team. Okay, your team started in Kansas City. They were booted out of Kansas City. They came over to New Jersey in 1982. All right. I'll guarantee you the average Devil fan doesn't even know who the first captain was. Okay.
I don't know how this has to do with any of the.
Well,
Rangers
anyway, I'm
here.
just letting you know because the Devil fans piss me off sometimes because they want to
This
go
is
out there.
not okay. That's fine. It's not a devil thing, Dad.
And by the way, if it wasn't for fucking
Scotty
Larry
Bowman.
Robinson,
Scotty Bowman.
Scotty Bowman winning the cup.
Get back on the road, guys.
Okay.
Scotty
Get back on the
Bowman and
road.
Jacques
Get
Lemaire.
back on the road.
No, it's not Scotty Bowman. It was Larry Robinson.
95 when they won the first cup. They won their first cup in 1995. Their head coach was Scotty Bowman, and their general manager was Jacques Lemaire.
Of the Devils?
The Devils, yeah.
That's not right at all.
From looking, wait, hold on.
Yeah, hold on. That's not right at all.
No, sorry. The head coach was Jacques Lemaire,
Right.
and the person that he beat was Scotty Bowman.
Okay.
Scotty Bowman was the coach for the Detroit Red Wings.
Detroit Red Wings, correct.
Okay, my bad. I apologize.
Go ahead.
All right, so back to the curse of the Rangers. Okay.
Frank something. He passed away back in 43.
Right, 1988.
Yes. Dutton. Frank Dutton. Frank Dutton? No. What the hell his name
the
is?
last thing that you said was like something.
Dutton passed away
Red
in 19.
Dutton. Red
Yeah,
Dutton.
he died in 87, 88. The curse of the 1940 worked in several ways, some of them odd. The Madison Square Garden Corporation found it could make more money when Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus came into the spring. This forced the Rangers and later the NBA, the Knicks, to use different arenas at the worst possible time during the respective leagues' playoffs. Which is fucking ridiculous if you think about it. So basically,
Comes down to the dollar, Joey.
Madison Square Garden said, we can get more money by the circus coming to town. You guys have to find another arena to play in.
Even
Even though you're in the playoffs.
Even though you play here.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what will happen is in a situation like that, say the Rangers were playing the Chicago Blackhawks. So now you're forcing the Rangers to go play Chicago Blackhawks as a home team in the Chicago Blackhawks arena, and who's going to fill that arena up? You're not going to get people.
Well,
from New
even
York
at
to
that,
go
I
out
mean,
there.
sit there if they play the Devils like they have in the playoffs, and you're playing in Jersey.
Right.
The Devil fans are going to sit there and use that as, we're all home games.
I've seen that before in baseball too. When the Yankees were renovating, Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, they played in Shea Stadium.
They played at Shea Stadium, and the asshole blew a cannon through. It hit number 410 right in Shea Stadium and defiled my beautiful Shea Stadium. But I won't go there.
My God. At the time, it was impossible to configure arenas in a way that would allow a circus and a hockey or basketball game to take place on the same night or day. Hence, the Rangers used the Maple Leafs Garden in Toronto's as their home ice in the 1950 Stanley Cup Finals, a move that potentially cost the Rangers that year's Stanley Cup. After the Blue Shirts took a 3-2 series lead on the Red Wings, the NHL cited an obscure rule stating that the deciding game in a Stanley Cup Final cannot be played on neutral ice. Maple Leaf Garden was labeled as neutral because its tenants proper were the Leafs, and Madison Square Garden was still occupied by the circus at the time. Leafs Garden was labeled neutral. I just said that. Sorry. Detroit Olympia was thus the venue for the 6th and 7th games, both won by Detroit.
Right.
In Detroit. Well,
And who's good? The Rangers were home.
Yeah, the Rangers were
Their
home,
home
but they're
team,
in Detroit.
They're in Detroit. So you know what? The NHL sometimes plays with itself. Okay.
Right. Also, while Dutton was the league president, he oversaw a 43-44 Rangers team that inherited the title that the Americans left behind upon folding of hardest hit NHL team by World War II. The Rangers asked the NHL for permission to fold until the end of the war because of their best player service in the armed forces overseas, but the league refused the Rangers' request, and so they finished well back of the other 5 teams that year. Notably, career minor league goaltender Ken McAuley gave up 310 goals in the team's 50 games.
Wow.
Holy shit!
That's a lot.
That's averaging 8 goals a game. I mean, come on.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
That's a lot.
A league record for worst goals against average 6.2 a game
6.2
that
goals a
has
game.
stood since. The closest any goalie has come to is equalizing is Greg Millen, who allowed 282 goals in 60 games for the Hartford Whalers 40 seasons later. And after this, we're going to take a short little break because rest in peace, to the Hartford Whalers. But we will be right back. Hey everybody, I'm JC3.
And I'm Mr. West.
And this episode is brought to you by Dubby. Made by professionals in the USA, Dubby was formulated to give you focus and energy with no jitters or crash.
No jitters.
Their formula contains vitamins, amino acids, including the patented Neurofactor. You know what Dubby doesn't give you?
What's that?
No calories,
No calories.
no sugars,
No sugar.
no fillers,
No fillers.
and no artificial flavors. When the raw ingredients arrive to their FDA-registered and inspected facility that strictly adheres to GMP guidelines, they undergo a quarantine while a small sample of each ingredient is taken to test for any impurities, while also being tested to ensure that the ingredients are actually what they are supposed to be and have the proper dosage.
And once the ingredients pass all the tests, then they're cleared to get mixed into the formula. So head on over to dubby.gg and use our offer code IsThisRealPC for 10% off your first order. That's DUBBY.GG and use the code IsThisRealPC for 10% off. They have great flavors such as Galaxy Grenade, Dub Sludge, Passion Joy Tea, Monkey Madness, and Dragonade. My personal favorites.
Dragonade right here. I got Dragonade right here. Delicious.
Drink Dubby.
And be better.
These products are not intended to diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hello, this is JC3 speaking. If you want to know more about Is This Real Podcast and our parent company Green Hour Media, then visit greenhourmedia.org. You can find and follow all of our social media pages through our website. If you love our content, then you can support us by subscribing to our YouTube channel and our Patreon page. Remember, that is greenhourmedia.org.
And welcome back to the Rangers 1940 Curse, presented by Dubby Energy Drinks.
Bye, Dubby!
Go to dubby.gg, punch in the code IsThisRealPC for 10% off all your Dubby products.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, get your Dubby. Get your Dubby.
Get your Dubby, yeah.
Okay. So back to the Ranger Curse. Okay, now the Curse of 1940 Dutton's Curse.
Yeah,
So, you know, I'm going to spread this episode like butter. We're going to try and get it as much out as we can. Coming from experience as you grew up through...
he says coming.
Shut up. As a hockey fan and having a brother who was, or a family, because most of everybody next door is really big hockey, except for Mama, who was a Blackhawks fan for some odd reason.
They have a cool logo.
They have a cool jersey too. You ever see the Blackhawks jersey? I love the Blackhawks jersey.
Sick. Their jerseys are sick. I'm not gonna lie.
How did all this fare as far as like? I know Uncle Keithy had a temper.
You think?
Yeah. Yeah. He was this like going through all these playoff scenarios? Because as I'm looking through, and I'm not even going to get into the Islander, because there's a whole section dedicated to the Islanders alone on this page. But I want to go through all the... how do you hit the search? How do you search a page? Do you know how to search a page? Wrong one, my guy. Whatever. Hold on. So, New York Rangers... Stanley
Cup curse. He's looking for the curse of the Stanley Cup. Of the
No,
New
I'm
York
sorry.
Rangers.
No, I didn't want to do that. Rangers playoff
curse.
history.
1940.
Because the Rangers do have a historic, they've been in the playoffs a lot.
Like they have a historic losing streak.
In the playoffs since their thing. Like I just want to get in to the point where you know.
Well, what do you specifically ask?
Like going through the playoffs with Uncle Keith.
Okay.
And getting I have when's the last time, like the first time you remember the Rangers going into the playoffs and like Uncle Keith really into it?
Well, every year. See, you got to understand.
What's the earliest one you remember though? Because like I have 71,
72,
72, 73,
72 they were
74.
being in finals. I would have to say the earliest I can remember would probably be somewhere 79, 70, the Rangers would make the playoffs, but they would fizzle out.
All right, so 78-79, they won the preliminary round against the Kings, won the quarterfinals against the Flyers, won the semifinals, which I'm guessing would be at that point the conference championship, and then lost to the Canadiens,
Right.
and 1-4. I guarantee there was a war in that house, especially for this. I remember what he did when we played the Eastern Conference Championship together.
All right. Not so much that. Keith got bothered by. He wouldn't get bothered by the Canadian fans. He respected the Canadians. That was, in fact, his earliest days, Keith started as a Canadian fan. Okay, and we have the dollar to prove it. Yeah, Keith was a very
It's
big.
the Irish he doesn't like. The Irish.
Keith he went on to become a Ranger fan, and then he really ran with it. He enjoyed it. He loved it. It became his life. He enjoyed every aspect of it. We would go to games together. We did a lot together, and we'd fight. We'd argue. I mean, you saw the videotapes of him and I going on Canadian games. But that was all done with at the end of the game, you pat each other in the back and you go, Devil fans, Islander fans in 1980, from 1980 to 84, and you couldn't get the Stanley Cup out of the Islanders. They won 4 consecutive Stanley Cups, and on that team they had Glenn Chico Resch, they had Billy Smith, they had, I can go on, Dennis Potvin, Jean Potvin. It was a war. This team was really good, but Keith would give them all names, okay, and I do. And the best name he ever gave anybody was Butch Goring. Called him Donkey Kong. So, and Keith took it to heart too. Keith was a Ranger fan. These were, screw these Islanders. And then in 1982, the Devils move in. Okay, now you got it. Not only do you already hate the Flyers, you can't stand Boston. Hartford, you felt bad for them because they sucked.
Everybody felt bad for Hartford.
Okay, now you hate the Islanders with a passion. They're in the middle of winning 4 cups. Okay, you can't get out of your own way. You just lost the finals in '79. Now come the Devils. Devils really couldn't get out of their own way. They were a fun-loving team. It happened one evening we were watching the game, and I forgot the name of the Devil player, but he hit Barry Beck, number 5. Okay, he hit him with a cheap shot, and even I was like, oh my God. Now Barry Beck, if anybody remembers Barry Beck out there, he was a big, huge defenseman. He literally had a slap shot and he did many times. He would take a slap shot in warm-ups and it went right through the net. Okay,
Jesus Christ.
That's how bad, how big Barry Beck was, and he happened to be my favorite player of all time, by the way. Oh, well,
really?
Almost.
You're about to say
Guy
the
Lafleur-
Flying Frenchman? No.
Guy Lafleur is my favorite of all time, but Barry Beck had a special. We met Barry Beck in Hartford.
Yeah. Okay.
Keith couldn't breathe. He's like, well,
All
anyway.
right, so let's get into the island because the Islanders have their own special section for this Ranger page.
Yeah.
So the Rangers struggled for several years after World War II.
Wow.
After the 1950 finals appearance, they only made the playoffs 6 times in 17 seasons.
It's not only 6.
In 1972, they reached the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in 22 years, but lost to the Boston Bruins, who were led by Bobby Orr and Phil Esposito. The next season saw the founding of an expansion team playing on Long Island, New York Islanders. In 75, the Islanders qualified for the playoffs for the first time and met the Rangers in the best-of-3 preliminary round. They shockingly defeated the Rangers 2-1.
Before they went to Toronto, and Lanny McDonald's late overtime goal beat them. Go ahead.
With J.P. Parisi
Parisi. Yeah.
scoring the series-winning goal in overtime in Game 3. The two teams squared off in the postseason again 79 semifinals, a season in which the rapidly improving Islanders finished with the best record in the league. However, in a stunning upset of their own, the Rangers downed the Islanders in 6 games to advance Stanley Cup Finals. They would lose in the finals in 5 games to Montreal Canadiens, who won their 4th Stanley Cup championship in a row.
But to be honest with you, I just wanted to let you know that in that game, okay, the goaltender, John Davidson at the time, let up a goal, and I forgot which player was so pissed off. He went to chop and hit the net, and he missed, and he caught the Achilles heel of John Davidson, basically sending him useless for the rest of the series.
Oh my God!
Yikes.
The Islanders.
Yikes.
The Islanders won the Stanley Cup The Islanders won the Stanley Cup for the first time in 1980, beginning their own streak of 4 consecutive championships. Their 83 title, won in the team's 11th season of existence, gave them one more championship than the Rangers had won in their entire 57-year history to that point.
Right.
During the Islanders' second cup run in
Don't
81,
think the fucking fans didn't let the Rangers know that.
during the Islanders' second cup run in 81, they swept the Rangers in the second round. During that series, Islanders fans taunted the Rangers by chanting 1940. Fans in other NHL cities soon picked up the chant. Moreover, in 82, the Colorado Rockies moved to suburban East Rutherford, New Jersey, and became the New Jersey Devils, giving the Rangers a second rival in the New York metropolitan area. It was also in the 80s that the idea of a curse of 1940 began to take hold, with Red Dutton's death in 87 and the occasional publication of the photograph of the Garden mortgage being burned in the being
Very
burned in the Cup's bowl.
It's very interesting that that's the second sports cup to get like an official curse name by the 80s, because the Bambino one was also like they got dubbed in the 80s as well too.
Well, this again in the 80s, you're starting to get more technology, more people are starting, more news publication.
They had
computers, floppy disks, and stuff like that is coming out. So more information is being spread by technology in the 80s than any other time in history. In 1991-92, the Rangers finished with the best overall record in the NHL, earning them their first of 3 President's Trophies. President's Trophy, if you don't know, Eric, is the team with the best overall record gets the President's Trophy.
Is this like the same trophy where like Obama will give you some shit?
No, it's just called the President's Trophy.
Okay.
You
take a photo with the president or something.
Congratulations,
you did the best for the season.
But they lost to the defending Cup champions and eventual repeat champions, Pittsburgh Penguins, in the Patrick Davidson division, the Patrick Division Finals. I don't know why the fuck I said that. Although the Penguins were defending champions, their victory was hardly a shocking one, and an odd moment came during the third period of Game 4, when the Rangers, with a 4-2 lead, Pittsburgh forward Ron Francis took a shot from the blue line that beat Rangers goaltender Mike Richter. Francis's goal shifted the momentum to the Penguins, who eventually tied the game and won in overtime. The next season, with high hopes, the Rangers finished last in the Patrick Division, largely because of injury due to their star defenseman Brian Leetch, and the kind of incident many fans ascribe to curse. Leetch arrived in the Garden in a taxi, stepped out, and broke his ankle when he slipped on a patch of ice, and most ironic injury for a hockey player.
Your word.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and when you slip on ice, you're a hockey player.
See, one thing though,
that I'll be honest though, that does sound an injury you can attribute to a curse type thing.
right. A lot of this stuff can be attributed to, and it says it right here, the fact that the league was very corrupt. I mean, you know, now every team is a franchise. You have your own owner. Well, back then, the guy that owned James Norris, he owned the Red Wings. He also had controlling stakes in the Rangers and the Chicago Blackhawks. He took all the best players and gave them to the Red Wings. Okay, so that would be the Blackhawks couldn't do nothing and the Rangers couldn't do nothing. So you're not winning during those years.
Well, I mean, you could say the same thing. I mean, that's why a lot of people are like, oh, the Canadians have the most championships because there's 5 teams in the league, you know?
Well, it has, yeah, it does, and I'll tell you why. They had territorial drafts. In other words, you could only, now it's a league-wide draft. Then you couldn't. You can only draft within a 50-mile radius of your
whatever league is there.
Up in Montreal and Canada and those teams up there, they had great junior programs. They had programs that, you know, Rangers didn't have that. Chicago didn't have that. Detroit didn't have that. That's why the guy was stacking everybody on Detroit. And so they had a significant advantage, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens, and that definitely added to this curse because the Rangers couldn't get good players.
No, I agree to a point. You know, it's like you're sitting there and you go into a league as it's getting bigger. Within like 20 years, they had 17, 18 teams in the league. that you add, and then all these players get spread out, and you're sitting there like, okay, we couldn't win it before when there was only 6. Now we can't win it when there's 17, and a lot of this shit is happening. You have the burn in, people bringing up that the mortgage being burnt in the Stanley Cup, and then you have, this guy saying, as long as I'm live, the Rangers will not win. And technically, I don't know if any Ranger fans would like this. He kept his promise. As long as he was alive, the Rangers did not win, and he died in 87. And they won in 94.
There you go.
So he kept his fucking promise. He's a man of his word.
He was.
So, yeah. But they, like I said, they did win in 94. By the 94 season, the Rangers had not won the Stanley Cup in 53 years. In that time, championships have been won in New York by the Islanders, who won 4, the Yankees, who won 14, the Mets, who won 2, and the Giants baseball team won. They won prior to the move to San Francisco. The Dodgers, they won 1 prior to move to Los Angeles. The Giants, who won 4? Well, 2 NFL championships, 2 Super Bowls by 1994. Okay. The Jets, who won 1, and the New York Knicks, who won 2 NBA titles. And the Nets, who won 2 ABA titles, playing as the New York Nets at that point. In addition, all 5 other original 6 teams had won Stanley Cups since 1940. The Canadiens won 20 times. The Maple Leafs won 10. The Red Wings won 5. The Bruins won 3, and the Blackhawks won once.
Right.
Has had 4 other post-1967 expansion teams besides the Islanders. The Oilers won 5 times, the Penguins and Flyers won twice, and the Flames won once. Now, we're going to take a short little break, and then we'll get into the 94 season. Because I don't want to read about that. I just want to come from your experience from watching that season overall.
Okay.
And from that team, because I know that team was like a legendary beast team.
It's going to be a legendary beast team when you're taking, the Edmonton Oilers and basically just swapping uniforms with them.
Oh,
You bring in a Mark Messier.
No shit.
Mark Messier knew what he was doing. Okay, you couldn't have brought in a better captain. In fact, in my opinion, in New York sports, he was the captain, the greatest. Now, you can argue with me all you want about, what's his name from the Yankees? That's
Derek
fine.
Jeter?
Derek Jeter,
Oh.
great captain,
Quintessential.
But I'm going to say that Mark Messier
Well,
meant more to the Rangers than Derek Jeter meant to
okay,
the
let's just
Yankees.
put it like this. How many championships did Messier bring to the Rangers? 1. How many championships did Derek Jeter bring to the Yankees?
He didn't bring alone. He had a nice cast around him.
6. So did Mark Messier.
No, Mark Messier.
He had Brian Leach.
First off, hold on. Wait a minute. You're going somewhere where you're not supposed to go.
Okay, fine.
All right.
We'll be right back.
Yes,
We're going to take
we
a
will.
short little break, and we'll come back and argue about this 94 season.
You can argue all you want,
We'll be right
but
back.
it was the end of the curse.
We'll be right back.
If you liked this video today, please click the like and subscribe button and make sure to hit the notification icon to keep up with all our videos.
And we're back with the Curse of 1940 of the New York Rangers, presented by Dubby!
Bye, fucking Dabby.
Get your Dubby energy drink to Dubby.gg, punch in the code IsThisRealPC, and get 10% off your Dubby products by Dubby. www.
www.
Yes. So, 1994, Father.
Yes.
Let's, we were arguing before we went to break about the, quintessential captains. And I'm not saying that Mark Messier is not, he's a great captain for both Edmonton and for the Rangers.
Yes.
And I understand basically he had the same cast of characters on both teams, minus the greatest hockey player of all time, Wayne Gretzky.
Well, to be honest with you, when he brought Gretzky in, it didn't mean shit.
Well, Gretzky did later play for the Rangers, but later
Yes.
in the 90s, not with Mark Messier.
No, he did play with Mark Messier.
On the
One or
Rangers?
two, yeah, 1 or 2 seasons. But it didn't mean anything. It didn't mean anything. He was already past his prime at that point.
And so was Messier.
Messier was past his prime, but Messier is the one who delivered the cup. Messier is the one who shut the Devil fans up. Messier is the one who shut the Islander fans up. Messier went on the thing and said, you know what? We're going to take the league and we're going to do, this is what we're going to do. If you think you can stop us, try it. And when you brought in all the players that they brought in, you know, I mean, the team was stacked.
The Rangers stormed through the 93-94 season, scoring 112 points en route to clinching their second President's Trophy in 3 years.
Right.
They swept aside the Islanders in the first round of the playoffs and defeated the Washington Capitals, in 5 games in the second round, before meeting the Devils, whom they had beaten in the 92 Patrick Division semifinals in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Right.
Devil fans picked up the 1940 chant and the curse myth from the Islander fans, and curiously, the hockey seating capacity of the Devils' home arena, the Brendan Byrne Arena, later renamed the Continental Airlines Arena, and then the Izod Center, was 19,040. So it was 1940.
Right. Gotcha.
With the Rangers trailing the series 3-2, and facing elimination, it looked like though the curse was at work again. However, Rangers captain Mark Messier challenged. What?
Nothing. I'm just. Go ahead.
You still spooked?
No. I'm looking.
Did something touch you again?
No. I'm looking for something. I don't know what I did with it.
Rangers captain Mark Messier challenged the New York media by guaranteeing his team would win Game 6. We know where we're going in there to win Game 6 and bringing it back for Game 7. We feel we can win it, and we feel we are going to win it.
Correct.
The New York Post and the New York Daily News both carried pages offering Messier's guarantee. We'll win tonight. Rangers coach Mike Keenan said on the guarantee, Mark was sending a message to his teammates that he believed together we could win. He put out an amazing performance to make sure it happened. The Rangers fell.
Natural hat trick too. Last game.
The Rangers fell behind 2-0, but trailing 2-1 in the third period. Messier scored a natural hat trick.
Was that like a trick shot that he did?
Three straight goals.
Oh no. Oh,
Unassisted.
Yeah, unassisted. So basically,
he just like in basketball terms, he just like got the rebound or whatever, and just like took it down by himself and just bang, just three in a row.
Yeah.
But Mark Messier is a man amongst men. That's
a hat trick in hockey.
Man.
Yeah, and a hat trick in hockey is when you score 3 goals.
Hat trick.
It's called a hat trick. You know why they call it a hat trick? A lot of fans, at least back then, I don't know.
They still do.
They not to the point because hats are expensive now. A lot of fans sit there and they throw their hat on the ice.
You can't even go goosey in anymore. Goosey night because the eggs are $8 a goddamn.
Yeah, they people would throw their hat onto the ice.
Might as well just start raising the chickens yourself.
Seriously.
You got chickens wearing diamond rings now because they're so fucking rich. Anyway.
To make good on his guarantee and force a deciding Game 7. The curse threatened again in Game 7. The Rangers led 1-0 and looked as though they were going to advance. And New Jersey's Valery
Zukinin.
Zupukin.
Zukanin.
Zelpukin. Not Zukinin. Dick.
Okay.
Zelapukin.
Scored with 7.7 seconds remaining in regulation to tie the game.
Let me paint the picture for you.
Okay.
Rangers, we're gonna win this thing. It was predestined to win. You know,
it was in the stars.
7 seconds to go.
Mercury was in retrograde, right?
You could literally, if you would have saw your uncle then, you would have saw the side of him. You would have thought the house was crashing around him. And then, to be honest with you, we just sat there.
Did you think he was in Vietnam again?
No, he's the wrong brother. Kevin and I looked at each other in stunned, utter silence. Like, they're gonna fucking blow this one too. This is impossible to take. Read on.
But in the second there's a second overtime. You have one overtime that starts. It's 13 minutes long.
They played full back then.
15 minutes, right?
You played.
20 minutes. Sorry,
20 minutes. You played. You got
20 minute period.
You know, when the sport was played by men.
Yeah. So it was a full 20-minute overtime period. This was in the second overtime. So basically, they played four quarters. You know, they played 20-minute.
They played an entire hockey game and then 40 minutes on top of what they were normally playing.
No, I don't know if the second overtime went fully 20 minutes, But hockey is split up instead of how football has 4 quarters, 15 minutes each. Hockey is 3 quarters or 3 periods, 20 minutes each. So they played 20, 20, 20, and then another 20. So they played an hour and 20 minutes worth of a game, and then they went to a second overtime, which started at 20 minutes.
So it's like roughly about 2 hours of just
a little bit.
it all out.
But in the second overtime, Stefan Matteau scored to give the Rangers the game and the series. The Rangers.
Matteau.
My toe. The Rangers moved on to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Vancouver Canucks and took a 3-2 lead late in the third period of the deciding 7th game. They shot the puck down the length of the ice with 7 seconds left. Thinking the game was over, the Rangers poured onto the ice in celebration. However, the Canucks touched the puck with 1.1 seconds left in regulation. The officials reset the clock to 1.6 in order to face off in the Rangers zone. Messier and Craig McTavish conferred and came up with a gambit to ensure the Rangers win, both of them deciding that the officials wouldn't call a penalty at such a dramatic moment. Committed infractions on the final puck drop as first McTavish, then Messier whacked and cross-checked Vancouver's forward Pavel Bure. As the team celebrated on the ice before the presentation of the Stanley Cup, Rangers fans in the Garden chanted 1940 as a symbolic end to the curse.
Yeah, that was their way of saying fuck you all. Fuck you all. We did it. We are now the champions after all this heartache and pain that they went through. And, normally I wouldn't care about stuff like that, but I lived through it. I lived to see the joy that it brought Keith, and that was amazing.
And the whole, kitchen furniture set that he went through that entire playoff series.
Yeah, well, he
My
did.
uncle was the type of person who would sit there. If something bad would happen, he would take a chair and beat the fuck out of it.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
So
I witnessed it, believe me, and it wasn't pretty, but Keith led with his emotions. To me,
Did he fuck it
he
afterwards?
was the ultimate
no,
fan.
he did fuck it afterwards.
He was the ultimate fan.
That's Anthony.
Yeah, I know that's your brother, but I was just
And
morbidly curious.
it's been hard now watching Ranger games without him, because
Especially now that the Rangers are actually pretty good.
and you just know that he would be there, cheering these guys on, living the dream, and it's even hard now when I hear Sam Rosen making a call, because it's tough, because we lived through Sam Rosen,
yeah.
So, that's always going to be a piece of history for this family. But not to bring anybody down, he's up there now just watching over this team.
Or he's down here playing with your hair. But so I don't know. I wouldn't sit there and call this a curse.
No, I don't.
I don't believe this is a curse. Wes, do you think this is a curse after all the shit you heard tonight?
No, at one point I fell asleep, so no.
So no, I don't think this is a curse per se. Is it sports and how
Mismanagement of teams?
I don't even think it's that, because I think
Just
it's
human error at that point.
I think it goes to the same thing, like how baseball and hockey kind of had the same thing. Like, you go from having five to six teams in a league where, okay, we're gonna sit here and mostly probably everyone's gonna win a championship if we keep it at 6 teams. And then you go to 32 teams, and it gets completely, utterly hard to win that way.
It's very difficult to win the Stanley Cup now.
Same thing with baseball now.
The talent pool has been watered down immensely.
Oh yeah.
When you got the way they got it now, I mean, like, Gary Bettman came in, he was running basketball. I'm not a big fan of Gary Bettman. Some of the stuff he's done, like bringing the league into the 20th century, online, you can get it online. He's made these guys very, very wealthy. So he's doing his job for the owners. To me, I'm a purist when it comes to hockey. I don't appreciate what he does for the actual sport. I don't like the fact that now you go into these overtimes of games where, years ago there wasn't overtime. Years ago it ended in a tie. Your team, at the end of the game, your team was, 5-1-1. That means you won 5, lost 1, and tied 1. There wasn't, there wasn't that thing that you had to win. But when they went to the point system, every point counted. Now they watered it down so much that you're not playing the sport anymore. What you're doing is at the end of the thing, you're going to a 5-minute overtime, and then it's a shootout. Well, that's bullshit because that comes down to your
No,
best,
not like guns. It's
your
not like they
best-
take.
I know.
Okay.
It comes down to your best players. You put them on the ice, and you got to get lucky.
Just imagine that shit. You turn around, it's like, okay, you're gonna take a weapon here. I'm gonna blindfold you.
You're gonna get the 45, and you're gonna get the 9mm. You guys
That
are
would
just
be
gonna
more interesting than what they got.
You're gonna take 10 steps, and then whoever gets it gets it. Then
duel.
that 1 point wins. But no, I like I said, I don't think this is a curse per se. I think it through time as more and more leagues progress and get bigger, it is harder. Like take example of the Canadians, Dad, and he blames it on me. He thinks it's a curse for me because I was born in '95. But the Canadians, like you said, they won 24 Stanley Cups up until 93. So from whenever 1919 they started, or 1909 when they started, to 1993 they won 24. So basically, in almost 100 years, they won a quarter of those Stanley Cup championships.
And they lost a few too.
And they lost a few.
I can, I've seen the Habs lose twice in the finals, and it's not a pretty picture. I've seen them lose on home ice. To Calgary. But you know what? Calgary had a great, again, speaking of Lanny McDonald.
Mike Smith.
Lanny McDonald was the captain of that team. So
Wasn't Mike Smith was on that team too?
Safety.
I'm not sure.
No.
You're
Okay,
asking
well,
me back in time.
but yeah, so since '93 though, the Canadians have not won the Stanley Cup. And you're talking now 20 years.
30.
It's 30.
30 years, yeah, 30 years since they've won the last Stanley Cup. So you go from winning 24 in 100 to not winning 1 in 30. So and
But it's
since
like you said too. It's their budget too. If they don't have the money for them to expand,
it's not even that. I think it's more
No,
of
it's definitely part of it.
you think it's a money thing. I don't think the
I do.
Canadians
No,
ever
no.
had a problem with team budgets or anything like that because
Well-
the Canadians are the Canadians are up there with the Yankees as like a storied franchise.
Oh,
When
yeah.
you're talking about one of the most expensive franchises of all, same thing with the Rangers. The Rangers are up there too.
No, I agree with you.
believe it.
Any New York area team, regardless of how sucky they are, they're going to be in the billions, especially now.
I don't know if the Rangers are worth in the billions, but you got to understand. He's got the complex, and he's got the Rangers, and he has the Knicks. So
Well, and he
who
owns
knows?
Cablevision.
And he owns Cablevision.
The Rangers.
No, he doesn't own Cablevision anymore.
Really? He sold
Yeah,
it?
They sold it to Altice.
I thought he still had Prognant.
Oh,
So
maybe
the New
not.
York Rangers are worth $2.2 billion. I'm telling you, any New York team, they're going to be worth
No,
billions.
I agree. That's why.
The Jets, who haven't won a playoff game in 10 fucking years, who hasn't been in the playoffs in 10 years,
That's why they didn't move to
are
Kansas
worth
City.
$2.5 billion.
They were ready to move to Kansas City, the Jets,
Yeah.
and they were told not Kansas City, Kansas somewhere, and we thought for sure they were going to move the Jets out of New York, but if you did, you automatically lose $1 billion.
Yeah, like, they're not going to fucking do
They're
that.
not going to do that.
So like it's, but what it comes down is when you expand teams. Now the NHL over the last 10 years has expanded to 2 new cities. They moved
LA?
to they moved into Las Vegas, and they moved a team
Seattle.
into Seattle. Now did they have a team in Portland before though?
Not to my knowledge.
They
no.
never had. What about the one team?
If you're talking about the California Golden Seals.
Yeah. Okay, that was California. Okay. Yeah, so they expanded into 2 new cities. When you expand something, like Dad said before, you're diluting the talent pool. You're taking these players, and now
You're adding more into the mix.
you're adding more teams for these players to go to, and you're spreading talent pool thin. Now, you're sitting here like with the Canadians, who have a lot of minor leaguers on their team right now, because I don't know what the owner, he's not spending any fucking money, but
I think it's been
where
a series
the
with
Rangers, if you look at their roster, especially after all the trades now, they're in debt with their salary cap because of all their trades.
No, that's what I mean. It's mismanagement. I think the NHL is doomed in the long run because of this mismanagement of the commissioner.
Well, think about this. Bettman's thinking about putting another team back in Atlanta.
Bettman needs to just back off. You know what? I know he makes a lot of money for the NHL, but the NHL, for the purists and the fans, you want to put somebody back somewhere?
Hartford.
Okay, let's go. Let's open up the Civic Center again. Let's put a team back in the Hartford Civic Center. Those fans have suffered a long time. You got fans up there that have booster clubs for the Hartford Whalers that need that team. They need to be able to root for their team. It done a lot for the city. Now, you know, on the flip side, they weren't really supporting them that well. They didn't. There was a lot that they didn't.
Well, and you have at that point you have a team in between Boston and the Rangers.
Right, but
And
they were beloved. The people loved them. You know, the Hartford. What other team had their own song? Brass Bonanza. I mean, that was their own song. You know, so.
But yeah, but as far as this, like I said, I don't think this is much of a curse as it is. Over the years, league expands, players move. You don't have the players that you had. You know, stuff like that, and I don't think it's really a curse. Now, there's some creepy shit that happens in there, just like any other things. There's some creepy. There's
It was
some
the creepiest.
creepy, coincidental things that happen.
Well, let's end this episode because you're about to lose him.
It's okay.
I've been out for a while now.
He's never here. It's okay.
I've been out for a while now. So it's
No,
all good.
he's always
No,
here.
I know. I'm joking.
No.
Like he's here, but his
He
mind
is-
is somewhere else.
No, I had a long night.
One of the Green Arrow Media's stalwarts. He's always here, and he's
Yeah.
a good guy.
But you're a good guy, Eric.
A little
That's what you
wacky,
are.
but you know
That's
we
what I
love
am.
you.
You're a good
We
guy.
love you,
You
Wes.
hear that, girls? He's a good guy. And guys. You never know.
His number is 555.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. All right.
It's 555.
So-
go fuck yourself.
Real quick, I just want to get into this. Next week is our season finale.
And what a finale.
We are talking about the Kennedy curse. Now, we talk about the Kennedys a lot, or at least John F. Kennedy in this program. But next week we're talking about his
Unfortunate
whole
jokes get thrown at him too.
fucking family. Well, he was the most open-minded president. You get that, Dad?
I'm not going there.
Okay, cool. You
One
get
would
that.
say he took a bullet for the team.
Yes, he did. He took many bullets for the team.
This is the disrespect hour. Oh my God.
It's okay. It's okay.
One more.
What? No, one more. We got it. It's
Anyway,
okay.
here's what
Yeah, we're talking about the Kennedy curse next week, guys.
and I want to see everybody that's on Green Arrow Media or everybody that's on Is This Real in the booth next week to tackle this important subject.
Because, like,
Whether you're a pope or
a Cito.
a Cito, whatever a Cito is, okay, or you're a roadblock, okay, come out of hiding, roadblock, wherever you are. I think it's a very important episode for us all to be here, okay, and I think it would behoove us to end the season on a bang.
Well,
Just my
let's
thought.
just put it like this.
Behoove.
I don't even know
We
what
thought-
means, but
We
it
thought
sounds
John F.
To
Kennedy
sweat-
was
to, like-
fucked. His family. I'm just gonna throw it out. I think it was a curse because, like, whatever magic is happening in the world wiped basically 2/3 of his family were like gone.
That motherfuckers took the Aztec gold from the Caribbean.
Like, I don't know what the father did, but this motherfucker is like it's like a chain link fence. It's just like,
there's a lot. Joe, the father Joe was a bootlegger.
Well, we could talk about that next week.
yes, we can talk about that next week.
Wes like, that's great. I want to go home.
Yeah. Actually, I missed my pillow. Fuck.
But yeah. So, you guys have anything else to add tonight?
No, I'm good.
Oh, got to me.
All right. So, just remember, everybody, follow us on our TikTok page. Is This Real PC? Follow us on our Instagram page. Is This Real PC? All of our social medias is basically Is This Real PC? Please go follow our what is it called? Our Patreon page. Is This Real? And then go to greenhourmedia.org.
Buy a hoodie.
Where you can find all this information and our spread shop. Buy a hoodie. Buy a hoodie. Buy a hoodie.
Fucking hoodie. Buy
Uh,
Dubby.
yes, buy our W product. Not our W product, but buy
Our
W
affiliate.
product. Our affiliate product. And W.GG. Punch in the code Is This Real PC, and then get your W products for 10% off. And then what else? That's really it. Everybody say goodnight.
Good night, all.
We'll catch you guys next week for our season finale of the Kennedy Curse. Remember, everybody, question everything. Good night.
Konnichiwa, bitches. It's Ryu West speaking. If you want to find out more about the Is This Real podcast, follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/isthisrealpc, or on Twitter at isthisrealpc, or on Instagram at isthisrealpodcast, all one word.